Hey YouTube, I am so excited to share this new guitar with you. Just got it from UPS, just about to unbox it here, and I got it a day early even during Christmas season shipping. That's just incredible. So I am extremely excited to share this with you. This is a IYV, an InYenVena. This is their jazz box. This is a 500, IJZ 500 I think is the nomenclature, but it is essentially a reproduction, a copy, doing their own thing, you understand, of a Gibson Byrdland. Ooh. Gibson Byrdlands are awesome, and I would love to have one, but they are many thousands of dollars for a real one. And so they've never been in my realm of possibility. You know, I don't spend that on guitars. I am very excited to share this with you. So stay tuned as we unbox and take a look at this IYV IJZ 500. Woo! Oh man. Oh goodness, that is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Now it's got a little finishing ding right there. Not terrible. It handled it well, but it did get a little ding right there. Beautiful. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful. Oh my goodness, that is. I am just astonished at the beauty of this. I mean, ooh, yes. So this is it's a big boy. It's a big boy. But that's because this is a true electric acoustic in the respect of this is an acoustic body guitar, hollow body, a true hollow body guitar, as compared to a semi-hollow. For example, take a look at, I've got a couple semi-hollow reviews. I've got the Wildcat, which has actually got a chambered solid body, and then a regular semi-hollow with the D'Angelico that I've got. Now that one doesn't have the F-holes, so it's like B.B. King's guitar, which there's a whole reason for all of that. Really cool stuff, but check all of that out. But this is a true hollow body. As in, I can look in here and I can see all the way through the guitar because all of this has just been mounted on the top. There's just enough block on the top to mount stuff. That's it. And it's got an acoustic style bridge, but it's got the electric strings. And whew, man, this thing, I mean, I have a lot of very nice guitars from every price point. Well, not every. I mostly cut off going over $1,000. I've got very few that I've spent more than $1,000 on, but I have some very nice guitars across the spectrum, and this thing is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Paintwork on this is incredible. You have this is some amazing stuff. So look at the tone on the finish on this. Absolutely fantastic. You have the natural maple coming through the middle, and it looks like it could possibly be flame maple because of it's got some little tiger striping along through there. Very subtle. Very, very, very subtle. But you look at it like, ooh, that is just gorgeous. Oh my goodness. I mean, check out the reason I even started looking at these. I mean, they've been on the market, and you see a batch of them come and go on Amazon, and I see them floating around eBay and stuff. and I never played one. I didn't know that much about them. So I took a risk. I got their PRS hollow body style. And for where it is at, price range, that guitar is gorgeous and plays really nice. It's in my queue of, I've got to do some setup on it to really make it playable, but beautiful guitar. And for the price point is incredible. This jumped out at me, and I'd seen it a few times and kind of, I wiped the drool off the side of my mouth, like, boy, that looks beautiful. And I've always thought the Byrdland looks just, it's such a classic guitar and everything. So before the internet jumps on me too much about comparing this to a Byrdland, let's talk about the similarities and distinctions. Now, what drew my eye to this was the similarity aesthetically to the Byrdland. Now, the main distinction between them is that the Byrdland, and this is for Hank Garland and Billy Byrd, Garland, that's where you got the name. They custom designed that guitar for them, and it was a modified L5. And so these were thinner line. The L5 was thinner than a regular acoustic body, and then the Byrdland was even thinner. So this is not got the thin line. So that is the biggest distinction. But in terms of the overall way that it is set up and so forth, and also the Byrdland, the switch is down here. I prefer it here because it's easier to get to, and some people don't like it, particularly if they're doing a lot of heavy strikes right at the base of the neck. I usually am playing more for twang, which you're going to be playing lower down and so forth. So that's the number one difference, is that this has a much deeper body. So this is, in terms of the body, a little more in line with an ES5, which is an unusual earlier model. You don't hear a lot about them, but they were a full hollow body acoustic, electric, and so forth. So really this is probably a little bit more like the ES5, but the looks, especially with this awesome cutaway. This is the Florentine cutaway, I believe. This is the Florentine as compared to the Venetian, which is the round one. And these are the two basic body styles that the Byrdland and many other of the ES and the L body and so forth were based off of. And so it's more like a family of guitars than, being a copy. This is not a copy of a Byrdland exactly. This is them doing their own thing. The other major distinction is that the Byrdland, as well as the L5, had a slightly shorter scale, 1 inch shorter, 23 and 7.5 rather than the 24 and 7.5, which this has the usual Gibson scale length. So it's a little bit longer, so it doesn't have that distinction either. But and particularly in the terms of the aesthetics and what you can get out of this guitar, very similar to Byrdland. It's just going to lean heavier into the acoustic side because it is so deep. You have a lot more resonance than you get with a thin line hollow body, where you'll get some warmth and resonance, but nothing to the level of, this has a full, let's get an exact measurement on it. It's a full solid 4-inch thick body. So this is like a large, full body acoustic, but it's very comfortable, and I really like the shape and contours, this cutaway, fantastic. So that's the similarities and distinctions with the, triple pinstripe binding around it. You've got your toggle up here, you've got your 4-way controls down here, but it has a I would guess, just looking at it, that this is probably rosewood, but not 100%. But it's a very nice, beautiful quality. It has an adjustable, so you can raise and lower, but it's basically got an acoustic bridge on it while having the electric strings and the electric pickups. It does not have a piezo pickup, as you would get with an acoustic electric, where it's an acoustic guitar, typically with the hole in the center, and you might have controls here. Sometimes the controls are down here with an output jack. There's various ways, but piezo pickup is where there is a pickup, a single pickup running under the bridge. And piezo pickup does not put much out, so it has to be boosted, which is why those sorts of guitars have the 9-volt. This does not have that. This is a passive. If it has the 9-volt, it's called active, because you're actively feeding it juice to boost the signal before you go to an amp, which amplifies your signal out, right? A passive pickup as you have, this is the dual humbucker, and they have, these are on, I think all their models, the Destiny CNC wound, which I liked. I still haven't decided if I'm going to replace it on the PRS or keep them. I've just got to play it more, and I need to set it up and really run it through its paces before I make that decision. This has got the same pickups. Now, they might be wound different, but I don't know. In terms of they're not indicating any difference. So it might be the same set that's in their PRS style. That I don't know. But I was very, very impressed with that guitar overall, and I reached out to the company as well, and it is a Korean company, and their factory is in Vietnam. And it's InYenVena, and that's what the IYV stands for. And they mainly produce guitars for other manufacturers. This is very similar to Samick and Cort, which are major manufacturers. They are some of the largest manufacturers in the world of guitars, but they mostly produce for other labels. And you have things like I just got, I'm in the process of rebuilding a Greg Bennett Samick, amazing guitar for dirt cheap money. And it is a Samick where they're like, we're still going to make a budget guitar, but we're going to design it to be premium in certain important ways so that it still has the low cost, but has some very premium qualities to it. And so I'm in the process of rebuilding that one. I got a really rough one, a Strat style, they call it Malibu. Very cool. But now this is not a tune, of course, before I start strumming on it. But it does not have Grover tuners, but they are Grover style tuners. Very nice machining on them. The neck is very nicely bound, very nice, and boy, these inlays are gorgeous. You have a perloid with an abalone at angles, which is really, really cool and really fetching. I believe this has got Laurel fretboard. It might be Jatoba. It is lighter, but it's very warm looking. It's got a very nice, and the coloration on it is beautiful. It could use a good waxing. It looks a little dry, but overall, my initial impressions on this are just, I mean, I'm struggling for words. This thing is so gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. Now, you know, is it perfect? No. And I don't expect perfection and we're talking a sub $300 guitar. To put this in perspective, the Byrdlands, which this is, the actual Byrdlands, Gibson Byrdlands, which are vintage, they you know, anyway, multiple thousands of dollars for one of those. So this costs less than the taxes. Let me let that sink in. This cost, new in the box, shipped to my front door, less than the taxes would have been on a Gibson Byrdland. Now, obviously, this is worth anything in the same price range. It's vintage, it's rare, there's only so many of them out there, and they're highly sought after, and yada yada. But if you are not in the market for a $10,000 plus guitar, but you love the Byrdland, whoo boy, I am so excited to get this thing settled in and tuned up and see how it sounds. The looks on it are astonishing. It's got both arch top and very gentle, nice cut arch on the back. I mean, I am looking and looking and looking for flaws, and it's not perfect, but these, like, you have to be really nitpicky and looking extremely close, and they're just, you know, natural manufacturing issue. There's nothing wrong. I'm amazed at the beauty of this build. This is absolutely incredible. And I just am so excited to hear what kind of awesome sounds this thing produces. Because in the looks department, whoo, I mean, just stunning. Stunning, absolutely stunning guitar. So stay tuned as I get this thing all settled in and we see how she sounds. But woo, how she looks, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I've been getting this settled in, tuned up, and man, if you're watching this video just to ask, should I buy one of these? And I'm not sponsored. I bought this. I got a nice big fat coupon, but I spent money on it. And I reached out prior with my earlier video to IYV just to see, what kind of company are they, and they gave me some great information that I'll share with you just in a few minutes. But they don't sponsor people, which I actually am like, hey, that's legit. Where they're just like, we're just going to let our products speak for themselves. And they're a sub-brand. They're one of these small brands that a lot of people don't know about. But, oh my goodness. I've just been initially playing with this, and right away, I am falling in love with this guitar. This thing is fantastic. I am getting such great tones out of it. Right now I've got it on twin reverb on my Mustang modeler. Ooh, buddy. Ooh, buddy. This has got some great tones on it. Too, this thing has very low action. I think they were intentional in how they set this up, that this is intended to be a jazz guitar. They call these jazz boxes, where you've got a true hollow body, but you've got, otherwise it's an electric guitar. They call these jazz boxes. I've got an Ibanez Artcore, beautiful, awesome guitar. At some point I'll feature it. And I bought it actually to resell. My wife saw it, it was so gorgeous, it's mine, and that was hers. So that's part of our permanent collection. But this is that same style, but it's got the twin humbuckers, and this is getting it's very low action, which is why if I really drive it, I'm getting string buzz. But I've been testing. I'm not finding any flat spots, dead spots in the frets. Everything. The neck plays excellent. It's a beautiful. Even the neck has sunburst in it. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Headstock, gorgeous. Oh my goodness. This thing, if you are considering it, grab them while they are there, because the IYV products, these are overflow products, where they are a factory in Vietnam. Very nice company, and they will actually get back to you if you contact them. They have a website dedicated to the company, and you can see all the different guitars that they have specs on that they are in their product lineup, but they are not regular producers for themselves. They produce for other brands, for other companies, and so forth. So they are a subcontractor manufacturer. And these sorts of companies, when they aren't currently filling other orders, they will keep their factory running in those times by producing their own designs, and then ship a case off to Amazon or a music company or whatever, and so you get these little bursts of these that come into the market, but otherwise there's not something that's just always stocked. So if you look up the brand on Amazon, you will find all of these dead listings that you're like, oh, I would love to get that guitar, but they don't have any more of them, and who knows when they'll make another one, because it's just the way that it goes, right? That's how that kind of producer makes their own stuff. And so I feel fortunate to have gotten both of these beauties. I really like the PRS one. Excellent guitar, and I think with some setup and some work, it'll be brilliant. But this, right out of the box, I'm getting that feeling when you have a guitar in your hands that you're just like, oh, I am so glad I bought this thing. I'm glad to have it. I feel blessed to own it. I, this is, if you're thinking about getting one of these, this gets my highest level of recommendation. This thing is absolutely fantastic. You know, the only thing that immediately I'm going to change are the knobs. The knobs are very, very rudimentary, very basic little black knobs, and just do not match the gorgeous aesthetic of this thing otherwise. This thing is a looker. This will stand out in a room and people will ask you, what in the world is that? Because it looks like a Byrdland, but you would not bring one of those out into public unless you have a security team with you. So what are you doing with that guitar, and how do I get my hands on one? I mean, these are the kind of questions that you're going to be getting with this thing. Look at it. It's just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Gorgeous, top to bottom, gorgeous, fantastic manufacturing. And we're talking budget manufacturing, but I mean, every seam is perfect. The neck joint right here, absolutely perfect smooth, perfectly smooth. And you can see that there are two lines where they basically, this is like two bodies thick, because this is a thick one. This is as thick as a true acoustic. And you don't get quite the sound output as you do with the sound hole in the middle, but if you play this unplugged, you can hear it. I mean, this thing, it is, you know, just one step away. I would, if I were going to play this unplugged, I would want to raise the bridge so that it would be closer to an acoustic height so I could hammer on those chords and really get the sound out. I mean, again, I'm having to play it harder than it's set up for. It's set up to be an electric, but it legitimately produces the amount of sound of, it's about probably on par with like a parlor acoustic, something like that, where it's a true body acoustic, but a little bit smaller. Now, why don't you see more hollow body guitars? Why are most electrics that look like this going to be semi-hollow, where they have a block down the middle and are hollow on the sides, or are a chambered solid body like my Wildcat? Why don't you see that many hollow bodies? I will show you very quickly and easily. Right now it is on a twin reverb setting. No noise, no problem. The moment I put it onto a, I've got a 60s, the 60s British channel, a lot of drive, a lot of gain on it, a lot of distortion, and I'm not even playing a note. Even holding the strings, you can hear, because the sound that is going into here, it's causing the reverberations, right? It's causing that resonance, which is amplified to such an extreme degree with the high gain and everything that you get almost immediate feedback. And so this sort of a guitar does not handle distortion and heavy tones at all. It will cause lots of problems, right? So that is not what this one is good for. If you want a hollow style, and you know, in terms of a similar style guitar that can handle all of that, check out my D'Angelico review, where I've got a cutaway. It's a semi-hollow, but it does not have holes, and that cuts even more of that feedback out. And so you can actually drive that a lot heavier. That was the preference of B.B. King. And there's good reason for it, because you're not really getting a lot of actual sound output out of a semi-hollow. It's a thin body and so forth. This and other jazz boxes like it, where you have a large body where it is basically an acoustic, it is a true hollow body that more or less has had pickups, electric guitar pickups bolted onto it. The moment you go into distortion high gain zone, you will immediately get feedback that will, and this is with a tiny amp turned down in my studio, but if you had like a huge Marshall or something and you're at a, I mean, it's the kind of thing that will make people's ear bleed. I mean, it's terrible. So that is the one caution about this and all the kind of guitars like it. But what you get are some amazing acoustic twang in a true electric guitar, where this has electric pickups. It has the 3x3 instead of the 4x2 on the winding, and so forth. It plays like an electric. It's actually got a very low, easy action, which is why it's so great for jazz. You can, and it is so it's extremely responsive. That's why it's almost too responsive. It's like a gas pedal that if you just hit it a little bit too much, immediately you're burning out and heading into the bushes. It's so responsive and has so much output for very, very light finger work that you have to be careful that it's not too much, which is the main danger for this kind of a guitar. But if you're looking for a guitar that you can play very light, but get an acoustic twang while playing with a low action, light fingers and so forth, this is a perfect choice. The big, I mean, this is big. This is a big boy, but it's very lightweight. It's actually quite comfortable. I really like this. This cutaway is fantastic. Love it. Love the look of it and the feel of it. Your arm just gets right in there and, what a awesome guitar. So I can't sing the praises enough of this thing. I know there's an unboxing review and, you know, give me some time with it to have further thoughts on it, but out of the box, this thing is among the nicest looking guitars I have ever laid my hands on. I am serious. This thing is stunning. Oh my gosh, the detail you get up. A lot of budget guitars, the closer you get, the uglier it gets. And that's, I mean, you know, I get it. They only got so much money and time to put into it, so you expect something similar, right? For example, I have a Firefly, a Telecaster and Stratocaster that are like brother, sister, that have the same finish on it, and it looks great from a distance, but when you get close, you're like, that's printed, and you know, it doesn't look real, and it gets less good the closer you get. This, you get up close to it, and you're like, oh my. So you have this gorgeous quilt painting on here, which gives it that subtle iridescence, but you really get in close and you say, oh my, it's actually transparent, and you can see the beautiful grain under the quilt. I mean, this thing is gorgeous, and the middle strip there, absolutely gorgeous. It's got the tiger striping going on there, and it's a sunburst that resolves at both ends as well. I mean, goodness gracious. This thing is just epically beautiful. And even right out of the box, without a lick of setup and just getting it settled in, I'm already just loving the playability of this guitar. So I will just resolve at this point, at this stage, just doing some more playing so you guys can hear this thing in action. But if you're looking for a recommendation, man, this thing, I still have got the chills going on, because this is like one of these guitars that you're like, how in the world can they make this for this price? This is fantastic. This is fabulous. I am blown away by this guitar, truly. Now, again, you have to be very careful about how much gain and distortion you have, but if you give a taste of it, this thing sounds just beautiful. I will say also about these Destiny pickups that they put in here, that's just what they call their brand pickups. I was impressed on the other one, the IPF 300 as well, that there is a tremendous distinction, tonal distinction between them, that is a marker of a good guitar, that, you know, you have clear distinction between your pickups. So this is on both. Great sustain, of course, because of the hollow body. going to switch to lead on the bridge, and it's much more of a vintage tone. And then you've got your neck, much more deep, right? So, again, I'm very impressed with the distinctions between them. And so, this does not strike me, you know, the more I play it, that I would just need to replace these pickups. You know, that I think they're actually quite good, and they seem well suited for this guitar.